ഒരു മഞ്ഞത്തെ ഓഫീസ് യാത്ര അടിപൊളിയാണ്.
And helping President Obama build a bridge back to the American people, having been spanked pretty hard in the November election.
Today, the president announces new economic staff, and soon he'll choose a new press secretary. More elements of a new White House operation that will have to deal with divided government in Washington and run for re-election at the same time. Mara Liasson, NPR News, the White House.
It's Friday, so that means the red light goes on in the StoryCorps booth. Snow or not, in just a couple of minutes, one man talks about being bullied in school for being gay. That's on Morning Edition on WITF 89.5 and 93.3 in Chambersburg, where programming is supported by the S. Dale High Center for Family Business, hosting a Blue Ribbon panel discussion on leadership transitions on Thursday, January 20th at Elizabethtown College. Registration at 361-1275, online at centerforfamilybusiness.org. It's 28 at HIA at 8:19, and time for a WITF traffic update. And we have traffic light, moving well on the main highways, just a little slower than normal today, but on the secondary roadways, that's where there's some problems. Lancaster County, Lancaster City, there's an accident along Arcadia Road at Steele Way. Also in Lancaster County, West Donegal Township, Turnpike Road and Garreley Road, there is a gas leak in the area. In Lebanon County, Route 322 at Isaac Lane, there's an accident reported. York County, an accident along Route 372 at Pumping Station Road, and in Lancaster County, Route 283 at Roarstown Road is the scene of an accident. Programming is supported by Lancaster Mennonite School, offering full-day kindergarten and pre-kindergarten at the Craybill, Locust Grove, and New Danville campuses, hosting open houses January 26th and 27th and February 1st. Details at lancastermennonite.org. Morning Edition is supported by Ally Bank, offering its Raise Your Rate CD, as well as an online savings account and a money market account. Learn more at allybank.com. The Langlock Foundation, supporting innovation in physical and emotional healing for underserved populations at langlock.org. And the Annie E. Casey Foundation, promoting lifelong family connections for children and youth in foster care on the web at aecf.org. A winter weather advisory remains in effect until 5 this afternoon for 3 mid-state counties, Columbia, Northumberland, and Schuylkill. Snow showers today accumulating 1 to 3 inches to the north of the Turnpike and coating to the south. The high will be 30. Chance of some snow after midnight tonight with a low of 20. You can check out the 7-day forecast at WITF.org. It's 28 in Camp Hill and 29 in Steelton.
The news from our southwest border is usually about increased security, more fences, more agents, more unmanned aerial vehicles. Yesterday, the federal government announced it plans to reopen a border crossing. It's between Texas and Mexico, and it was shut down after the terrorist attacks on 9/11. NPR's John Burnett reports that local residents are elated.
Before 9/11, tourists to Big Bend National Park could pay $1 to ride a rowboat across the Rio Grande to the village of Boquillas del Carmen. There they could have a beer and a plate of tacos and maybe pick up a souvenir copper scorpion or a rocket stick. Fearing terrorists sneaking up from Mexico, the U.S. government shut down this informal crossing and others like it up and down the border. On Thursday, Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection Alan Burson stood in the national park and made a startling announcement.
There's a great expression in Spanish, que el futuro ya no es lo que era antes. The future is not what it used to be. And you never can go back, but you can go forward. This crossing, which will mean so much to the local community, can be accomplished without in any way at all compromising the security of the
At the mouth of the majestic Boquillas Canyon, the government is planning a small high-tech port of entry. U.S. passports will be scanned, and Mexican nationals will have their identities biometrically confirmed, with the information verified by computers hundreds of miles away. The actual crossing will be via ferry boat, the second one on the southwest border. A Border Patrol official says the leaky rowboat from Bukias will be replaced by an approved river-worthy watercraft operated by a park concessionaire. Construction on a combination park visitor center and passport control building will begin next summer, and they hope the first visitors can float across by April of 2012. Today, Bukias del Carmen is nearly dead, depending as it did almost totally on the national park.
When we shut it down, they had no way to get food, work, gas. I mean, most of these
School
towns
bus,
are a good
American
5 to 6
school
hours
bus.
from any other real village.
That's Cinta de Narvaez, a retired river guide and cross-border activist who lives in nearby Terlingua. After the Border Patrol closed the crossing, she says she had to travel 12 hours through Del Rio to get to the families she was helping in Bukias.
April of 2012, I think that's fantastic. It's beautiful over there. There's incredible mountains, and the people there are friendly, and they have been shut off for quite some time.
A Border Patrol official says the Interior Department and the Department of Homeland Security have been quietly working for the past 2 years to make this happen. Last year, President Obama and Mexican President Felipe Calderon signed a joint statement pledging both countries' interest to protect wildlands on opposite sides of the river. It's an idea that's been around for more than 70 years. Rick Lobello is education curator at the El Paso Zoo and a longtime advocate for a binational park.
So I think it's great news for the people of Mexico in that area, for Big Bend National Park, for ecotourism, and for the hopes of an international park someday.
Support for reopening the Bukias crossing surely was aided by the fact that the Big Bend country is relatively quiet. Other stretches of the southwest border have much higher traffic and illegal drugs and immigrants. Nevertheless, the Border Patrol has been stationing additional agents inside the park, and the new border crossing itself will be bristling with federal agents. John Burnett, NPR News, Austin.
President Obama's administration is also circulating a plan that could reopen U.S. highways to cross-border truck traffic from Mexico. The move could ease trade ties between the two countries. But unionized truck drivers here in the United States are not happy. NPR's Scott Horsley reports.
The Transportation Department has told members of Congress it's preparing to relaunch a controversial pilot program that would allow a limited number of Mexican trucks to haul cargo in the U.S. beyond a narrow strip along the border. Mexican trucks were supposed to have that kind of unfettered access years ago under the North American Free Trade Agreement, but unionized truckers and their allies have repeatedly put up roadblocks. The Teamsters insist Mexican trucks are a safety threat, although the few that have been allowed in show no unusual safety problems. 2 years ago, Congress slammed the brakes on a pilot trucking program started by the Bush administration. Mexico has since retaliated with stiff tariffs on targeted U.S. exports, including sweet corn, chewing gum, and pork. The cross-border battle puts the Obama administration in a tough spot as it tries to double exports. The renewed plan to allow truck traffic is another sign of the president's effort to be more business-friendly, though Mr. Obama runs the risk of losing support from key backers in the Teamsters Union. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
It's Friday morning, time again for StoryCorps. Americans are talking about their lives in this project. Rob Littlefield was inspired to share his story by others who've spoken out against bullying in recent months. At StoryCorps, Rob remembered junior high school and what happened when his classmates learned he was gay.
It was like tremendous hate that I had never experienced in my entire life. People called me fag, pointed at me, did pranks on my desk, and it went on the school bus, in the classroom, in my neighborhood. And those kids teamed up and found a way to smash my hand in a car door, and I lost the end of one of my fingers. I lived that year not ever being able to talk to anybody about it. You know, I remember my parents saying, "What's going on? You know, why did this happen?" And at that age, you know, you're scared to death. And the only way that I could see out of that situation was to take my life. I thought about it. I thought about it hard. But my father came home from work one night, and he sat our family down, and he said, "We're moving to Tulsa. those were the greatest words I ever heard in my life. At 55 years old, I look at this finger still all the time. I can't help but look at that finger. And I could remember the names of those kids when I was 13. I wonder what they think of their gay grandson. Wonder what they think of their gay son. Well, I just wonder how they're living their lives today.
That's Rob Littlefield at StoryCorps in Oklahoma City. His interview will be archived in the StoryCorps collection at the Library of Congress. And by the way, you can get this project's podcast at npr.org.
Major funding for StoryCorps comes from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and from the National Endowment for the Arts.
You can only hear StoryCorps on Morning Edition every Friday, 6:25 and 8:25 on WITF 89.5 and 93.3 in Chambersburg. And as he prepares to leave office, Governor Rendell says he regrets signing the pay raise into law nearly 6 years ago. WITF's Scott Detrow has the story for you in just about 5 minutes. It's 27 and Lebanon at 8:29, and it's time for a WITF traffic update. Traffic is moving well across the region given the weather conditions this morning. Just typical builds and also a little bit of slowing due to the snow this morning on the major highways. As we're scanning the major roadways right now, looks like things are moving pretty well. I-83 at Union Deposit Road in the northbound lane showing heavy builds. Also I-83 at Route 322 in the southbound lanes. Those are both in Dauphin County. In Franklin County, traffic looks good. And Lancaster County, things are moving well across all the major highways. Most of the accidents on secondary roadways across the region. Programming is supported by Higher Information Group, managing information from inception to destruction, including IT services, corporate printing, business equipment, hosting solutions, document management, storage, and shredding. Information at higherinfogroup.com. A winter weather advisory remains in effect until 5 this afternoon for Columbia, Northumberland, and Schuylkill counties. Some snow showers accumulating 1 to 3 inches to the north of the turnpike, a coating to the south. The high will be 30.
Good morning. I'm Steve Inskeep. Alcoholic energy drinks may prove to be useful after all. Drinks like Four Loko have been pulled off the shelves. They were supposed to provide a boost of energy, but since they have alcohol, federal officials said they'd make a lot of wide-awake drunks. Now wholesalers are recycling. They're sending cases of the drink to a Virginia company. It will be turned into ethanol. It's apparently suitable for the car, even if it's no good for the driver. It's Morning Edition.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Jean Cochran. House Republicans kick off their